Dude, this is sick. I'm stoked right now. This is crazy. It's a new feel. It's a new studio. If you guys don't can't already tell, but I'm just excited to be able to do this in person, man. And you know, I obviously see you guys physically all the time, but just be able to record, it's a different energy. So this is cool, man. So we always freestyle it, man. We just figured this out right before, so we're gonna talk about this time. We're gonna talk about finding happiness in the journey, and you know, because obviously we're talking about entrepreneurship, and we talk about everybody knows it's hard. We don't even have to talk about that. People just, they know that this is hard, just like anything can be hard. But how do you find happiness in that journey if it's like a struggle and you're just in the trenches, man? You get your fingernails dirty every day. You're getting told no all the time. You know, you're trying to whatever. You're just trying to make it. How do you find happiness in that? And so those are just some thoughts. I think it'd be an interesting conversation. I don't know. What do you guys think? Like, as far as like I don't know if there's like maybe a certain mental exercise that people can do, or like I know we talked about yesterday, like music gets people in a certain in a good state of mind and just excited and kind of pumped up. There's like different things you can do, but just like when really things really suck though, like not just like, oh, I'm not motivated, but like things are just like, dude, you're like, you know, like how do you find the happiness in that, you know? I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts? Like just comes to mind right now.
I guess I can start off a little bit. So one of the things that comes to my mind right off the bat is like either if you're a religious person, praying. If you're not a religious person, then like just openly talking about like what you're grateful for. So I think that's one of like the biggest, most important things is, you know, some people call it your gratitudes. I usually think about it as just like praying and thanking God every single day for all the things that I'm grateful for, all the things He's given me. Yeah. Because here's the thing, like while you're going through the crap and like you're at your lowest part, automatically I feel like we as humans are just negative people. Like we automatically a lot of times think more negatively than we do positively. And so for us, it's one of those things where it would be if you purposely are looking for the blessing, right, during the crap, like you're gonna find it. But if you're looking for the crap and that's all you're telling yourself over and over again, and you're just focused on your situation right now, and you're not focusing on what you've already been blessed with, what you've been given, your health, your life, you woke up, you're able to breathe another day. If you have a family, your family, a car, if you have a car that works, like the mountains, the beach, like there's so many things to be grateful for around us, and we just get so tunnel visioned and closed-minded that we just focus on where we're at right now. And most of the time it has to do with financial topics, right? We usually are like, oh my gosh, because I'm not making a ton of money. But like think about so many things that you do have, and we let that one topic completely just like trump everything that we've been given from the man upstairs. And so just there's a lot of things, right? But the first thing that comes to my mind is, for me, give gratitude, but out loud. So like when I say my prayers and I'm giving gratitude, I do it a lot of times in the car when I'm driving to the office because I'm by myself, I can focus. I will out loud say like in a prayer what I'm grateful for. And I'll be driving, man, and I'll be like, dude, I'll see like the freeway. Like back in the day, they used to be on horse and buggy. You know what I'm saying? Like, dirt was flying everywhere. You're all like nasty by the time you get to where you're trying to go. Yeah, right? But now it's like, dude, we got a paved road that's smooth. I got a car. I got air conditioning that keeps me all cool while I'm in the car. Like, I mean, you can just go on and on if you really look for it. So that's what I would say first off.
Yeah, for sure, man. I think relying on gratitude is a huge thing because, I mean, there's some stories you'll see on like, you know, whatever social media platform you use, but you'll see stories of like just people just going through it. Like I saw this dude who didn't have arms or legs, like crazy. Like, and I just watching stuff like that, man, it's just so gnarly. Like I just can't even imagine just being grateful for having all my limbs or being able to get up and walk. Or, you know, having your health or whatever it is. So relying on gratitude is huge for sure. I've heard people talk about it, but I don't know, it's obviously different to do it. Like, you know, people are like, oh, I am grateful, but like, are you really like, you know, showing it or expressing it? So that's a really good one. What about you, bro? You have any thoughts about like?
Yeah, I mean, as Morgan was talking, I was thinking it's all perspective, you know. So it's like when people are like, "Oh, I'm going through stuff." There's a video. It's called the Refiner's Fire, and anyway, it's perspective on someone going through a lot of stuff, and so it's like what really is considered like the crap. And usually it's because it's not going the way someone expects it to go. But we have to understand that we have to go through stuff to be able to grow, and that's how you learn, you know?
Yeah.
Like through failures, that's how you learn. So it's like, I think of it this way, if you're ungrateful for your situation now, then why is God going to give you more stuff to be ungrateful for?
For sure.
And so you have to be grateful for the position you're in. I was talking to Morgan about that today. I was like, man, like, as I was driving home, I was like, man, I'm just so grateful to, like, be in this area, in this city, have this office, and, you know, like you said, a car, go home to the family, all these little things. It's like, you can be so grateful for. But then also knowing where you're at is not where you're going. And so, like, if you know that you're going to Volano, then it's like, cool. Like, this is just another step to help me grow my identity, my character, everything to get to Volano. And so, I think when you have a different perspective on things, you understand, like, okay, so what lesson do I need to learn here? Rather than, woe is me, oh my gosh, I'm going through all this stuff, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
You have to get out of your way and understand what's coming.
For sure.
So I think that's a huge thing to do.
For sure it is. Yeah, it's super huge. I think we have to get quiet in our minds sometimes and just like focus on the good things. And even if it feels like it's only 2 things that are positive. But remember, I can't even say without laughing, dude. I remember when Sean was training one time and he was talking about how he was just getting, his teeth kicked in. Like, he was like, people would ask him how everything is going. He's like, oh man, unbelievable. I feel like obviously unbelievable could be good or bad.
Yeah.
But it's just like that, man. It's almost like sometimes pretending like you're okay when you're not, and just, and then you end up believing it. Like, you end up really feeling that you're okay, everything's fine. I saw something on Instagram one time. They were like, if you feel sad or just not in a good mood or whatever, if you smile and you like hold it for like, I think it's like 30 or 40 seconds, your brain won't know the difference. Like, it's just gonna make you feel happier, right? And I haven't tried it, but it's interesting to think that, exactly, like, it's just like, that you could really like you could change the way you feel just from like pretending for a split second, and really it kind of manifests into like a real emotion. So I think that's really interesting, man. But yeah, dude, there's so much that we could talk about this. What about I don't want to take the conversation take it off the path too much, but what about like motivation then? Like, because I know happiness is a part of that, but what about if you're not motivated to stay in the game? Like, you're not only just not happy, but you're also not motivated to just want to like keep going. What do you guys? Is there anything you guys do
about that? I remember in training about external, internal inspirations, internal motivations, external.
Yeah. So a few things. If I can just back up really quickly, and then I'll jump into that. Was one of the things with being happy is Ed Milet always says, if you can't be happy now where you're at, you're not going to be happy when you get to that thing. Because a lot of times people put happiness in an object, in a house, in a car, in a specific type of cash flow. Like, they put happiness and they connect it to an object. And materialistic objects can come and go. And so that's one of the biggest like no-nos, right? Like, people do it all the time and they don't realize it. And so if you're not happy where you're at now, broke, you're never going to be able to be happy when you become rich, right? And if you become rich.
Yeah.
So that's one thing to think about. Like, be happy where you're at. Be grateful, because that's the first trick. The second thing, when you come to motivation, and then I'll kind of jump in. So anyways, Dylan was kind of mentioning, like, there's a difference between internal and external. That's motivation and inspiration, right? Motivation is like being motivated externally for that car, for that house. It motivates me to keep trying to get to that object that I'm going for. But inspiration is something that happens internally, and it changes you forever. There's a huge difference. And so the biggest thing is to try to help inspire people rather than just motivate people, because motivating people can fizzle out, and most of the time it fizzles out pretty quickly. But if you can inspire somebody, that completely changes their nature, that completely changes their belief system, and that changing their belief system will change their actions. Changing their actions will allow them to get greater results.
Yeah.
And then it's just a cycle that just keeps building and building and building until you become a completely different person. So the question is, how do you do that? And obviously there's a lot of different things you can get into, and I won't get into like all the details of the training that we did the other day. But particularly on just motivating yourself, one of the things that I was talking to Dylan last night about was you have to learn how to manipulate your brain. You have to learn how to manipulate your brain. And so everyone's different. But for example, yesterday, we were all here in the office. We had an awesome night. But what did we do? Like, we manipulated the environment, and we manipulated the energy. We manipulated our brain, and we manipulated our thoughts and actions. Why? How? By having a different environment, by having a high energy environment, by focusing on a goal. And so everything else didn't matter because we were just trying to win. We had a competition. We had the music bumping. We had like a completely different environment and a feel.
Morgan's moonwalking was getting it going.
He was going in, bro. I was feeling it.
Because the cameras weren't on. So things like that, and learning what helps you to motivate, to manipulate your brain, to manipulate your thinking, to be able to help you to overcome those obstacles that normally would stop you from acting. And so I think that's one thing, to be able to keep, when you're not motivated, to get motivated, is figure out what does it for you, right? Whether it is music, like you said, whether it is prayer, whether it is meditation, whatever it is. But you got to learn what works for you to manipulate your brain.
For sure. Yeah, man, it's true, dude. Like, I was watching so this is like a different, it's that, but it's like a different level of it, because I was watching an interview with David Goggins earlier, and he was talking about that, where he was like, I'd be selfish to like not share with people the new part of the brain that I discovered, and it was like the 40% rule. And I'm sure you guys know about that, so I'm not going to get into it. But he was basically saying that we make ourselves soft because we have to have like certain things. Like, and one of the things is just it sounds counterintuitive because we just talked about having music and like getting us inspired. But he's like, man, I go to the gym and they have these big old stereos and all this music's bumping, and some people like literally they'll pull into the parking lot, and if they don't have their headphones, they'll go back home, and like it's like, you need the music, you need the motivation. But so like, I know it sounds like that's like, but that's exactly what we're talking about. That helps because it does.
Yeah.
But I think it goes back to circling back around to like the happiness aspect, not so much the motivation part. Is when you don't have those things, like how do you do it internally? Because that's a whole different level. Like, you can do it externally, you can manipulate your mind and your environment, but what is it, like, what steps can you take, or what can you do to do it internally if for some reason you're not able to, or like, you know, you're sick and you can't come to the office because you don't want to get anyone sick, so you're at your house by yourself, and you know it's a rainy day, and it's all this stuff just feels like it sucks. Like, how do you do that? I just think we got to go inward a lot of the times, and focus. Not so it's like, I don't know how to explain it, but yes, we do the external things, but then also focusing on ourselves, like making ourselves a rock on the inside too, so that nothing can phase us, even if we didn't have it. It's like, yeah, it's nice, we're doing it because it's like, it's convenient and it's nice, and we get even more results. But if we didn't, it wouldn't matter anyways, because we're tough and we're just, you know, we can do it regardless. So, man, I don't want to stop it. This is a good conversation. I know there's stuff going on through your mind, that you look like you're thinking about something.
Yeah, because like, you know, I think about like all the factors. You know, I never want to give like the perfect answer for everything, because it's never that way, right? Like when we train and stuff, it's like, yeah, this is how it should be, but what really happens, you know, here are all the different scenarios. I think you think about people that they go through like okay, David Goggins, he gained a ton of weight he was, what was he, like pest control, right?
He was big, yeah.
Like he didn't, nothing wrong with pest control, but he just didn't like what he was doing.
Yeah.
And so something in him changed that motivated him to take a step, and then he was inspired through the action of doing it. So motivation, I think, is like, it quickly gets you going, but then inspiration keeps you going.
Mm-hmm.
And so kind of like, okay, like let's say you like listen to a motivational song, you want to go run, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're like super pumped up, you go running. Okay, well, you know, if you keep listening to that song over and over, eventually you're like, all right, you know, it's a little less exciting,
Yeah.
and then you start to fizzle out. But then what if the doctor told you, oh, if you don't keep running every day, then you're not going to see your family anymore because your health is so bad. So your motivation turns a lot deeper, and now you want to be that person for your family, so now you're inspired to keep working and keep working out. So I think it's okay to start with motivation to get you started, right? Like that gets you going, but then you also have to turn that into inspiration to keep it going. And I think that's the problem is motivation I think is like a high. You're on like an emotional high, and then it fizzles out and you're like, wait, where'd that go?
Yeah.
Right? Like, I go back to music. Like when you're at the gym or whatever, say you're listening to music, have you guys listened to a song so much that it doesn't excite you as much as it did?
Yeah.
For sure.
And it's like, that's cool, you know. You stop listening to it. I saw a meme on on social media. It said like, aren't you guys looking for that? It's something like, aren't you guys looking for that one song that you can just listen to so much until you're sick of it?
Yeah.
Like I haven't had any of those songs in a while. And I'm like, that's so true. So that's like motivation.
Yeah.
You get motivated so much, you start to kind of repel it. Because you're like, oh yeah, I'm motivated for a little bit, it goes away. Motivated, it goes away. Like people start diets. They're motivated to do the diet.
Yeah.
And then they stop after a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So I think you have to use that motivation and quickly take action,
Mm-hmm.
and then find a deeper reason why you're doing it
Mm-hmm.
to be inspired, right? Like you put in the work, you're motivated to put in the work,
Mm-hmm.
and then that inspiration is, I'm inspired. I want to buy that home in Malibu. I want to help out all these children that are being sex trafficked. I want to open up an animal sanctuary, right? All this stuff, it inspires you.
Mm-hmm.
That's what keeps you going.
Yeah.
But you need that. The motivation is the match that you lit, and then the inspiration is throwing the match into the fuel.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But without the motivation, it's hard to be inspired. So it's a lot of internal,
Mm-hmm.
but you got to have both.
Yeah, exactly.
And taking it back to the beginning, knowing what you have to go through, your inspiration is going to keep you happy through the crap,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you're so inspired to do X, Y, Z. That means you got to go through stuff. So you have to manipulate your brain
Mm-hmm.
into saying, I'm super excited for this, I'm super happy. And like you said, your mind, what you tell it doesn't know if it's real or fake.
Mm-hmm.
It just knows whatever you tell it.
Yeah.
So that's why you hear about like manifestation, affirmations, all that stuff. You literally manipulate, you trick your mind into thinking you're already there.
Right.
So you start to attract it.
Right.
So it just all like goes hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have it all. But you start with motivation.
Mm-hmm.
It's the start and stop that
Yeah.
that affects people where they're like, I don't want to do this anymore. in
Yeah,
anything.
exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're not. Most people are not used to being uncomfortable, and especially not liking it. Like,
Mhm.
you can be uncomfortable for a certain amount of time, but I think I know everyone has a threshold. Like some longer than others, but
Mhm.
it just like we were just talking about before. We should have been. That's why we gotta record before. Just to like throw it out, because we just talk about random stuff. And we're talking about Bezos and just doing hard stuff sometimes just for the sake of doing it, like stuff like that. I think that's what gets you through those moments of where you're going to the gym and your phone dies and your music turns off, or like if it's like, no one happens to be at the gym that day and you're by yourself, you're not really trying to like flex and anybody, like you're just by yourself, are you going to go as hard as you would have if there was a girl or a dude there or something like that? You know what I'm saying? So I think that has a lot to do with it too. Just like, not necessarily breaking yourself down, but just like doing, difficult things to make yourself tougher physically, mentally, whatever, emotionally, just so you can build a callus and you can just, make yourself tougher, and then you can survive those times when you don't always have your team around you or the music or whatever. So I think that ties around pretty nicely. But you want to add something, Morgan, before? I know you always got some fire, bro. Come on, man. You can't leave us hanging, bro.
No, I honestly, today, Dylan and you guys just killed it. I just ditto.
I'm gonna have a little womp womp.
No, for real, it was great. I completely agree with everything.
Yes. Yeah. This is rad, man. This is super rad. I like doing this in person.
Yeah.
I'm trying my hardest to not say my famous tagline. All right, man. Until next time, bro. We're gonna change it up, bro. But I'm just, I am super. I gotta say, I'm grateful for you guys, though, for sure. I just always have to say that because this is awesome to be able to have a small platform where we just kind of talk about different topics that that we're learning about ourselves. Really, like we're not experts on it. We're figuring it out too. So I think it helps us, and then it helps the people that watch, and so it's cool, man. So this was dope, and I'm saying it anyways. Till next time. Hey.